Okay, today's video I'd like to talk about the effect of weight loss before IVF treatment on reproductive outcomes in women who are obese. This video was prompted by my newsfeed today, which showed weight loss before IVF could increase chance of pregnancy, nursing in practice. Weight loss boosts natural conceptions by up to 47%. Weight loss could aid IVF fertility outcomes in women with obesity, Pharmacy Times. So the article they're all referring to was one that was just released this week, August 2025, the effect of weight loss before in vitro fertilization on reproductive outcomes in women with obesity by a set of authors from the UK. But before I start out, I need to both welcome you and add a disclaimer. My name is James Stanger, I'm a PhD in embryology, and I've more than 50 years' experience. The videos that I'm preparing for my YouTube channel are my attempt to bridge the gap between information you may need for your fertility treatment and the most recent publications available to your clinic staff. I am not a medical person, and this information is not medical advice, but it may help you in knowing what questions to ask about your treatment with your doctor, and maybe to help in understanding the advice that you may receive. If it does, I hope it helps. And once again, I always allocate this page to a potential supporter for IVF Daily. I'm just starting out, but if you want to promote your company or clinic or product, this may be just a page where you can do that. It's good to remember that in supporting this channel, your support may mean that an IVF client becoming a better informed IVF client. You can click subscribe or become a sponsor or just make a donation to help others on their fertility journey. Okay, so let's go back to this publication. They basically looked at 12 randomized controlled trials, including just under 2,000 people. But unfortunately, almost 2/3 of these trials have significant risk of bias. But they found there was a moderate certainty that pre-IVF weight loss interventions were associated with an increase in total pregnancy rates, and particularly pregnancy rates coming from unassisted conception, that is, intercourse at home, whereas the effect on pregnancies resulting solely from IVF was most uncertain. Weight loss interventions were not associated with pregnancy loss, which is good, or did not minimize the pregnancy loss, which is a bit disappointing. The conclusion was the weight loss interventions before IVF appear to increase the chance of pregnancy, especially for unassisted conceptions. However, studies were small and heterogeneous and made it difficult to determine the benefit of any particular intervention. In other words, it's all a bit sus. Didn't stop, of course, nursing practice to publish on the same day. Women with obesity who participated in weight loss programs before the beginning IVF cycle were 50% more likely to conceive naturally than those given little or no weight loss support. A major review of evidence has found. Well, maybe. The analysis of 12 international trials involving almost 2,000 women revealed weight loss interventions not only help women with obesity conceive, but also increase the odds of any pregnancy, natural or through IVF, by 21%. Then they go make a very small statement, say these interventions ranged from diet and exercise program to weight loss medication, such as Oxalat or any GLP agonists, such as Ozempic, etc. And I have to say, if this is the information given to nursing, I would be concerned. They go on to quote, women lost an average of 4 kilograms or more. Women in the intervention group lost an average of 4 kilograms more than those in the comparison groups. The review showed pre-IVF weight loss programs were linked to higher overall pregnancy rates, including up to 40% increase in natural conceptions. There was no clear evidence that weight loss interventions improved pregnancy rates through IVF, and they had no impact on miscarriage rates. Associate Professor Ashbury from the University of Oxford noted, this isn't just about improving pregnancy rates. It's about improving equity of access to fertility treatment. We know that people from more deprived areas and those living from certain ethnic backgrounds are more likely to live with obesity. Policymakers should consider whether integrated structural weight loss support into fertility services could improve outcomes for patients, while potentially reducing overall costs by increasing the number of women who conceive naturally. So what they're really talking about there is inserting into an IVF treatment cycle a pre-treatment weight loss program for women that are obese. Just going to look at some of the evidence. These are some of the papers that were quoted in that study. The first one, Human Reproduction Updates 24. They basically found this was another meta-analysis. Overall, the findings of this network meta-analysis indicate that the combination of exercise, diet, and pharmacological interventions is effective for weight loss, improving ovulation, and normalising the androgen levels in women who are overweight or obese. And I think what they're really talking about are women who have polycystic ovarian disease. Although higher quality studies are needed, these results support that the optimal treatment strategy for women with overweight or obesity issues wishing to conceive must consider exercise, diet, and pharmacological interventions during their shared decision-making process in their IVF journey. If you look at a study done in 2022, and once again another meta-analysis, in this case it was a study of 53 publications, including 1.5 million cycles. So I'm not quite sure the first one was different. When analysing one cycle per patient, being overweight or obese was found to have a very weak negative impact on clinical pregnancy, live birth and miscarriage, the number of eggs collected, and the duration of ovarian stimulation and gonadotrophin use. So they're talking about IVF treatment. Therefore, an increased body mass index is associated with weak adverse outcomes from women undergoing IVF. So generally speaking, if you are overweight and obese and you go through IVF, there is a very, very small impact on it, but not a significant impact. The Organisation of Gynecologists and Obstetricians, in their literature review in 2023, made the comment that obesity has been linked to infertility through several mechanisms, including at a molecular level. Those living with obesity face additional barriers to accessing fertility treatment and achieving a successful pregnancy, which can contribute to the economic and psychological stresses. There is scope to further improve care for people living with obesity and infertility with empathy via a multidisciplinary approach. And once again, this is the line that is saying, as part of a fertility management program by clinics, they should focus on providing access for women who are overweight or obese for weight loss programs between treatment cycles. I think that's probably a reasonable argument. One, of course, here is that this was in 2006 for the UK, and they were looking to how they can rationalise treatment against the state-sponsored support, and they made the observation that 38% of women who had a birth from conceiving a treatment cycle pregnancy or spontaneously pregnancy had a BMI greater than 32, and this was a lot less than the 52% of women with a low BMI. Weight loss allowed women in the growing BMI group, 32 to 35, access to treatment, but women in higher BMI groups were less successful. I think they're basically saying there that if you need to put limitations on access to a service, people with a high body mass index are less likely to succeed and therefore should be prioritised down the list. But then they started talking a little bit about time to pregnancy. So here's a study done in 2020 where the objective was to examine the impact of pre-pregnancy very low weight loss diet programs on the time to pregnancy for women with obesity. The maternal weight loss at the end of a 12-week intervention was 3% in the standard group and 12% in the very low energy diet group. The completers of the 12-week intervention time to pregnancy was significantly shorter in the women allocated to the VLED group than the standard group. Post-hoc analysis showed that difference in time to conceive was particularly overt within the 90 days of the intervention. In other words, if you want to lose weight for a very low 12-week intervention period, you only have a very brief window where that effect will manifest itself. But they did conclude that a VLD program that achieves substantial weight loss before conception reduces time to pregnancy compared to not doing anything about the obesity. And just the last element about time to pregnancy. Sorry. There's a study done in 2024 in the Chinese group. Weight loss before IVF did not significantly increase the live birth rate in women with obesity or overweight and fertility. The clinical pregnancy rate miscarriage rate and ongoing pregnancy rate, ectopic rates did not differ between the weight loss group and the control group before IVF. So in this group of study, they could find that a pre-loss weight program did not impact it. But once again, if you're not dealing with a lot of people with polycystic ovarian disease, you may not see the difference. This meta-analysis demonstrates that even significant weight loss before IVF in women with obesity or overweight or infertility did not improve the live birth rate, clinical pregnancy, or ongoing pregnancy rates, either before or during IVF. But once again, the obesity for some groups may be due to PCOS, but for others it's more dietary. But there is a price to pay for intervention. As this group by some Greek authors suggested in 2018, which is not 7 years ago, accumulating data suggests that obesity is associated with lower pregnancy and live birth rates in women with PCOS who are undergoing assisted reproductive therapy. However, it remains unclear whether weight loss improves the outcome for this therapy. Noticeably, recent guidelines state that the health benefits of postponing pregnancy to achieve weight loss must be balanced against the risk of declining fertility with advanced age. Therefore, if weight loss is not achieved within a reasonable time period, assisted reproductive therapy should be offered in adequately selected patients with PCOS, regardless of the presence of obesity. And I think this publication nails the issue right on the head. That give it a go for a short period of time, but don't delay treatment for more than a certain amount of time. Otherwise, you'll start to have a reduced natural fertility. So in summary of my response to this newsfeed article was that there appears to be a small but real impact of weight loss on natural conceptions. This effect is unclear for clients undergoing IVF. A small loss of 4 to 5 kilograms may be enough to achieve success, particularly if you are overweight due to PCOS. Obesity in IVF treatment reduces the likelihood of success, but any delays in trying to lose weight before treatment may reduce a client's time to pregnancy, especially for mature women. So, thank you for persevering. As I always say, IVF is a very personal journey that involves the actions of many. But it helps to understand all aspects of that journey, and I hope this one does. If you like it, please tell others about my channel, and please subscribe. Thank you.